Hey everyone, and welcome back here to my channel where I play Planet Zoo. I'm Nisse, and today we are not only making a habitat for 1 or 2 animals, we're actually making a habitat for 3 animals. That would be the Baird, Tapir, the Giant Anteater, and the Capuchin Monkey. Now the Baird's Tapir, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, is kind of the small Central South American tapir. It lives pretty much from Mexico to Ecuador and primarily in rainforest, lower montane forest, deciduous forest, flooded grassland, and marsh areas. There really no evidence that they are extremely territorial, even though males mainly live on an area around 1 square kilometer, but the females range much further. They do, however, mark the territory or just the place they live with the poop and pee, as many other animals do. They are mainly active from dusk and throughout the night, and at sunrise they kind of just find a place where there's really close foliage like bushes and trees and that kind of stuff to spend the day kind of hidden away. They will though come out through the day to get some water or stuff like that. They are endangered, and there are a lot of reasons. First of all, their habitat are being destroyed. They live in these foresty areas, and it's not a new thing that humans kill forests. I don't know how else to say it. We are really not protecting a lot of forest, and the tapir are just one of the many species that getting hurt by it. Then of course also the fragmentation of the species is an issue. Even though there's kind of a lot of tapirs, we have to remember that they live from Mexico to Ecuador, and in 2006 there was only 5,500 left in the wild, and having them spread out on such a big area do really affect the amount of the opposite sex a tapir meets, and they kind of need to meet a tapir of the other sex to be able to reproduce. Hunting is also a real issue, and I will add here, as I can see on this website, it seems like it is legal to hunt them, so we can't really blame the hunters here. It's more a legal issue. Should it be illegal? But we can't really tell people from other countries which laws they should have. And then also a lot of them are killed or critical injured by collisions with cars, which really is a sad one because no one aimed to hit a tapir with their car. I'm pretty sure the one who do hit a tapir with the car really rather have a not injured car and a not injured tapir. And then of course we also have to remember they live a place where both the jaguar and the pumas live, so they probably also take a few of the tapirs. That's pretty much all I have of the tapir today. My info on these Baird's tapir, I'm so sorry I can't pronounce it, it's from tapirs.org, and I will say if you want to know more about other tapirs as well, they do have a lot. Both on the lowland tapir, the mountain tapir, and the Malayan tapir too. So if you're looking for a deep dive, there's your chance. Now to talk about the anteater, I found my information at nationalzoo.sci.edu. Again, it's linked below if you want to learn more. The giant anteater is mainly known as an anteater, which is known for this long snout and its 2 feet long tongue. It has no teeth, and its hearing and sight is really bad. However, its smell are particularly well, and studies have shown that the anteater actually are able to tell different species of ants apart only by smell. The anteater have this pattern, this brown pattern with this big black stripe from its chest and to its spine. The front legs are white and it have this really bushy tail. They have extremely short hair on their shoulder, which will come longer the further down its body we go, and they have really long hair on their legs, which really make the anteater one of the animals you always can recognize in the zoo. On their back feet, their claws are a lot like a bear. However, on the front paws, they have this extremely long, pointy claws. And to protect them, they actually make a fist and walk around on their knuckles when they just walk around in the area. When you look at the anteater, it really doesn't look like an animal that does anything. But it can actually gallop up to 48 kilometers per hour, which would be like 30 miles an hour, and it can also climb and swim. And swim we see a lot in Planet Zoo. I don't think I ever saw it climb. A adult anteater would normally be between 1.8 and 2.4 meters, which would be between 6 and 8 feet. And they will weigh between 27 and 45 kilograms, which would be 60 to 100 pounds. They live in Central and South America, except they are extinct in Guatemala, Uruguay, and El Salvador. I'm sorry if they're not pronounced that way in their native language or in English, but kind of how we pronounce it in Danish. They primarily live in the wetlands, grasslands, and tropical forest. They are not particularly aggressive, but if they feel threatened or just want to fight for some weird reason, they will stand up on their back legs and steady themselves with their giant tail, so they will be free to fight with these giant claws they have on their front paws. They will also use these giant claws to rip open an anthill, and then they use their tongue to just pull up all of the ants. And this 2 feet long tongue can go in and out of the mouth 150 times per minute, which is kind of fast, I think. They mostly live solidarity, except in mating seasons or if they have a young living with them. They give birth to just one, and the baby kind of just climbs onto the mother's back directly after birth. Of course, they get down to eat from the mother's chest, but the first year they will mostly live on their mother's back, which makes sense because they don't have a particularly a home. They will have a territory, but they won't have a space they go back and sleep. They won't have a nest or anything like that. They just walk around in the entire territory, and then when they want to sleep, they stop and find a place to sleep. What I find extremely interesting was the fact that the anteater ain't nocturnal, and they're not nocturnal. They actually base their day on where they are. So if they are living close to a human population, then they will become more nocturnal. But if they live a long way from humans and noise, then they will be more active during the day. The anteater sadly also have quite a few reasons why they're already extinct somewhere and may be extinct more places later on. And it's, again, they lose their habitat, even though they are able to live that many different places. We as humans really take a lot of their habitat, and we either demolished it and built a city or something like that, or we just take the wood, we pollute the soil, we do all kinds of things. And sometimes it can just be tourism that scare the anteater away, because if there's a lot of people, then they become nocturnal, which kind of limit their living habits. Then also the fact that they have a real specific dietary need. Not to say the ants will be extinct, but it's a giant animal and they need a lot of ants. Of course, they also live off some plants, but they mainly live off ants, and if they can't find any, then they can't eat them. And then the fact that they have this real low reproduction rate. The size say you can help, and the primarily way you can help is just by telling other people about it. The anteaters are really overlooked as an animal that needs help. Kind of, if you are a tourist in the area, really be careful. Don't make too much noise. Don't leave your trash anywhere. And if you are lucky enough to see an anteater, don't approach it. Don't scare it away. Just admire it from the far and then go away. Leave it alone. There's a lot of non-profit volunteer work being done in South and Central America for a lot of different species, and the anteater is one. So if you want to join one of those, that would be amazing. In Denmark, we have an old saying that roughly translates as "Dear child has many names." And that's pretty much true from this beautiful monkey. I think the game is calling it the Colombian white-faced capuchin, but it's also called a white-throat capuchin, Colombian white-throat capuchin, white-faced capuchin, white-headed capuchin, which is kind of weird since it doesn't live that many places, but we're gonna go with it. I think most people can recognize the white-faced Capuchin Monkey. Not by name necessarily, but it have this pinkish face that kind of just looks like an old white man. And then it has this white kind of scarf, I would say, fur around, white fur around the face, down the throat, and on the shoulders, a tiny bit on the chest as well. And then it have these black hairs on the rest of the body and on its crown, which kind of look like it is wearing a beanie. I don't know if it's just me. It lives in Panama, the western Colombia, and western Ecuador. It mostly lives in primary forest, which is these old forests where there's a lot of old big trees, but they also live in secondary forest that is kind of old forest that was eradicated and then kind of regrown. It's kind of a small animal. It is a medium-sized monkey, but it only weighs around 3.9 kilos, 8.6 pounds, and the males is 30% larger than the females, which they will really need, because the females, they're safe. If you're a Capuchin female, you just give birth into a family and then you're gonna stay there. Kind of opposite that all old humans where the female leaves the family and the men carry on the legacy. Here it's the females that stays and the males that go. The male leaves the troop when they're around 4 years old, and after that they will actually leave again 4 years later and 4 years later. They will always leave in group. They will need a bigger group, especially because when they leave their own troop and meet other troops, then the males from that troop will most commonly be hostile, and they have to be able to protect themselves, so there's a safety in numbers. The Capuchin monkey don't only make a bond between males and females, but also the females in between and the males in between. The dominant male in a troop will breed with multiple females, but never with their own daughters. Instead, they kind of thanks the not dominant male for protecting the troop by actually allowing them to have sex with their own daughters. The Capuchin monkey actually live off mostly fruit. They don't want to eat anything that isn't ready to be eaten or anything that's spoiled or anything like that. So before eating stuff, they will smell, taste, and poking each and every piece of fruit before eating it to pick out the best ones. They also eat insects, but what I think is really amazing is they actually also eat small birds, frogs, lizards, and squirrels, bird eggs, crabs, and mollusks. But looking at this small monkey, how would it be able to do that? And it's again because it's so clever. It used tools as we would do, so it's kind of, it can take a stick to use it to roll over a rock and get the insects beneath. It can take a rock and smash the crabs or the eggs, or maybe a fruit with a really hard shell. But they actually not only use tools for eating, they also use it as weapons. And there are documented cases where capuchin monkeys have used sticks as weapons against snakes, for instance. And they actually also know about some kind of natural medicine. They actually kind of grind up some kind of plants, and some plants they just rub into the fur. And some of these plants are known as remedies for ticks and parasites. But also some of them are actually anti-inflammatory, which mean if they've been fighting, they got hurt or something like that, then this kind of medicine will help heal the wound better. This capuchin monkey is actually, and it's probably not on purpose it does this, but it's also really important for the ecosystem, because when they eat fruits this way, they leave out the stone, they leave the seeds and let them kind of just fall to the ground, which help the new trees, the new bushes, the new plants spread and grow. They are listed as vulnerable, and that again, we have talked about this before, they're losing their habitats. Deforestation, they are also hunted, but what really hurts me personally is the pet trade. And I know many of us remember this picture from Friends, where Ross got this capuchin monkey, and I think he was called Marcel. And Ross loved this monkey, he really did. But what the show really showed was he really wasn't able to take care of it the right way. Very few humans are able to take care of capuchins. I don't think I remembered to mention, but the info from this is from Primate Conservation. It will be linked below. I'm so sorry, I'm so bad at pronouncing stuff. But it will be linked below, as well as the information I got from the Giant Anteater and the Tapir. So guys, but I'm already all out of time for today. I really hope you enjoyed it. You know the drill. Like, subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you know the next time I upload a video. I'm Nisse Pedersen, and I hope to see you again, either in the comments below or in the next video. Bye!